What's shaking, world? Minasan konnichiwa. Welcome to the Layup Line with Nick Fazekas and John Ramey. I'm Ramey. Thanksgiving is celebrated all over the world. The harvest comes in autumn, and our gratitude for general providence doesn't stop at the border, or at least it shouldn't. You can find harvest Thanksgiving celebrations in Germany and the United Kingdom and Canada, even Brazil, and in places where Americans have brought their celebration, like Japan. Kinro Kansha no Hi was celebrated earlier this month in Japan. There, Thanksgiving is a day off to celebrate workers like police officers and firefighters, but also for people to give thanks to one another. Here on the Layup Line, we are filled with gratitude beyond the wins and losses. Sport at its best is the triumph of the human spirit. Groups of people banding together, endeavoring to do hard things, sometimes achieving them, but always striving. We are thankful for our role to bear witness and to spread the good news. Thanksgiving is also the holiday that has become the most bound up in sporting tradition. It is custom for college football's regular season to end around the holiday with a rivalry game. And UNLV and Nevada share in that tradition again this year. The NFL has been playing on Thanksgiving since 1934. That's older than Joe Biden. This year's Thanksgiving sees 18 college basketball games, too. Nevada's got one of them. We'll talk about all of it with Nick Fazekas. Make sure you save room for dessert. The Layup Line is next.
The following segment is sponsored by Bradley, Drendel, and Janae.
Welcome back to the Layup Line. We welcome in the Hall of Famer, the all-time leading scorer in the history of Nevada men's basketball, Nick Fazekas. Happy Thanksgiving, Nick.
Happy Thanksgiving, John. Happy to be back here doing a Layup Line for, what is this, third week now?
I think it's 3 or 4, but who can tell? Because we're having so much fun, time flies, and it's a busy week. Thanksgiving and sports go together, and we're recording this earlier in the week, but Nevada has 2 games at the Acrisure Holiday Classic. They'll start against Washington on Thursday on Thanksgiving Day. And I'm just like, let's take stock, right? Because it's a sprint to kind of the MTE, and then after that, it's after Thanksgiving, and then it's finals, and the schedule kind of broadens out. And then by the end of December, you're into conference play. So it's a natural kind of breaking point to assess the team, I think, Nick, right now. And like, if you look at the stats, like Nevada's averaging 79 points a game. They're shooting 75% from the free throw line. The loss at home to UC Davis was bad, but they bounced back. And I don't know, I feel like this team is all right. I feel like they're on track. The MTE will obviously tell us things. I don't know, how are you feeling about them?
I feel good. The Davis game that we called was a bit of a letdown. I know that Lawler was a bit deflated after that loss, and obviously coming off the loss at Santa Clara was just 2 in a row, just felt very sour, just did not feel good, John. But yeah, the UC Santa Barbara was a nice little bounce back. Camper played, lights out, and this team just feels like they have what it could take. It's just going to take a little bit of, I don't know what to call it. Maybe they just need something to slide right, or maybe they just need a little bit of luck. I don't know what it is, but I feel like they've got the toughness. They've got all the pieces. I just kind of like look at the roster and I watch the games, and I just don't feel like there's too many holes. I mean, they shoot the ball well enough. They can defend. They can rebound. They have size. They can play fast, slow. I just feel like they're a tough team to beat when they're right.
I also should point out they have more free throw makes than their opponents have attempts. That's a big number. And I think we can get way into the weeds, and we can talk about various offensive sets or, super hyper niche metrics. But in basketball, if you've got 3 guys that can score, that can produce, that can be the man on any given night, generally the team's going to be all right. Would you agree with that kind of operating philosophy?
Totally agree with you there,
yeah.
John. It's
the
fact that you kind of have it, you can get the hat to you can give the hat to anybody that night. Maybe one guy, 2 guys hangs onto that hat for a couple nights, but it's always nice that you don't have to rely on one guy to, carry the load each and every night. That, it can be an off night and the other, man next to you can kind of take up the slack. So it is reassuring that, the Pack are kind of seeing that, and they've got guys that can all kind of shoulder the load. And then when you see nights where Camper gets 27, it just kind of becomes that much easier. But yeah, I've always enjoyed being on teams or, watching teams or kind of rooting for teams that did have more than just one guy that can go get it done, because inevitably that he's going to have an off night here and there.
Yeah, so I think the big three that we've seen emerge through 6 games, it's not just what I think, it's what the stats say, are Corey Camper Jr., who went for 27, career high last time out against Santa Barbara, last week against Santa Barbara. And then we've seen Tayshawn Comer as a very consistent scorer. So he's averaging right around 16, Camper's right around 17, and then Elijah Price is at, 12 and change and averaging nearly a double-double. He's at 12 and 9. So you've got a big three there. You've got a team that rebounds. You've got a team that gets to the line and makes free throws. I think the fundamentals are good. I know that, we do kind of wring our hands a lot, especially in the early season, because we see every flaw. And that's kind of our role, right? That's also what fans do. They think, okay, well, they look good against Louisiana Tech, but can they win in Albuquerque? But now that Nevada has, a chunk of the schedule under their belt, we know what they are to a degree. We've got some good data. I'm pretty confident that this group's going to do all right in the Mountain West.
I second that. I think that they do just fine in the Mountain West. I mean, look at Boise. They go out and lose to a Division II, and Troy beats San Diego State, and it's just things that are just mid-majors have to deal with. They have to deal with finding an identity. They have to deal with roles. They have to deal with personalities. I'm sure there's some guys that are even on the bench right now from Nevada that are upset because they were maybe going to think they were going to come in and be this or that, and it's just a huge learning curve that has to happen in a matter of 6 games now. I mean, it's just not enough time to really get a fair or a true assessment, I think, of what the Pack really are, and I think what most mid-majors are. But NIL's changed things. College basketball, college sports has changed, and I think maybe some of us are, we're the prehistoric fans, where it's we look at it how it used to be, where you're bringing back all these returners, and you just kind of lose sight that that's not how it is. I mean, there's a million new guys on this roster, and they have to find a way to mesh. They have to find a way to jive, and it takes time.
All right, let's talk about a little bit of legacy with the Wolfpack. Cade Snyder, son of Kirk Snyder, has committed to play for the Pack. Just as an alum, just as somebody who played with Kirk, how does that resonate with you? That's got to fire you up.
Oh, super fired up. When I saw that on Instagram the other day and kind of saw the quote that Steve gave about him, I was fortunate. I got to meet the kid, and it seems like he's a very soft-spoken, nice kid. I obviously know his mom, Haley. She's a great person. Kirk's a great person. And yeah, I'm excited. It sounds to me like he's quite a stud. I mean, when you stand next to him, you can feel his presence. He's definitely an athlete. Kirk was a heck of an athlete. His uncle played in the NFL. I mean, the guy's he's got some blood in there that I think is definitely going to turn him into something special if he wants to be special. And if he has any sort of work ethic that Kirk did, I mean, he's destined to be special. So I was excited to see Snyder, committed. It's going to be fun to see another Snyder on the back of the uniform, because Kirk played a big role in getting this whole thing started, how many years ago.
Yeah, Cade, 6'8", 220, so we love the frame. We love the surname. I had the privilege, the honor of inducting Kirk into the Hall of Fame this year. You guys were Hall of Fame teammates. Explain his importance and your relationship with your teammate.
Kirk was a junior when I showed up. He was the guy he was the head of the snake for us. He was the guy that led the way for all Pack fans. I remember that night we played against Kansas. A lot of people think that he ruined Keith Langford's career because Kirk he was just superior. I mean, Kirk was 6'6", 240, could shoot it. I mean, he was built he was a freak, and obviously led us to that Sweet 16 run. He was just a special player, really special player. Of course, he's got some things going on now that do not trump what he did for Nevada and what he was as a basketball player. And I'm just excited because if his kid has any bit of that DNA, which when I met him, it seems that he does, it's just exciting for Pac fans, and I think it's exciting for the whole entire basketball program that you're getting a Snyder 2.0, and like I said, Kirk was special. He was very much a integral key piece to what happened in that Sweet 16 run for us.
All right, let's talk about the UNLV Nevada football game. The battle for the Fremont Cannon, that's happening this Thanksgiving weekend. Now, in football, there's a trophy, and there's great moments, great images, and it's kind of, it's an annual tradition. Whereas in basketball, at least now, the Rebels and the Pac play twice a year, generally, in conference play. What's your experience within the rivalry? And also, do you have thoughts on the football rivalry? Because you guys didn't get like a trophy when you beat the Rebels. So I know that there's like a little bit of, there's part of you just as an alum that really cares about this football game.
Of course, we all care about the football game. I mean, I think you throw the records out the window. The Pac have had a poor season, a great season. I don't think it really matters. It's a rivalry game, and I think that's the fun. It's the red versus the blue. The cannon was fun. I remember being at school, John, and getting the cannon, and it kind of felt like you were proud to have the cannon. Now, for me, it was a little bit unfortunate because we weren't in the same conference, so I only got to see them once a year back when I played, and that almost made that rivalry even more special and even more amplified because it was like we went there one year, they came to us, and that only happened 4 times instead of now, if you're going to spend 4 years in Nevada, you get it 8 different times. But, yeah, I mean, there's no questions asked that we don't hate the down south school and that we want to see them fail and us succeed. So I'm looking forward to the football game. I think it's always great to kind of have that big rivalry at the end of the season because the Pac haven't had a great football season thus far, but it's also kind of the cherry on top where you go beat the Rebels and you're kind of like, well, at least we can feel good about that.
All right, when we come back on the layup line, we're going to talk about all the cash Nick didn't make in college because we're going to talk about the Players Era tournament and the big numbers involved with that and some news coming out. So stick with us. Fazekas, Ramey, Layup Line, come on back.
The following segment is sponsored by Northern Nevada Toyota Dealers.
Nick Fazekas, all-time leading scorer in the history of Nevada men's basketball, and John Ramey with you back on the Layup Line. Dateline Las Vegas, Nick. ESPN reporting in the years ahead, the Big 12 Conference will get 8 automatic bids to the Players Era Festival, part of a $50 million equity partnership. This Big 12 tournament in Vegas gives $1 million of NIL to each team. This year's event features number 2 Houston, number 24 Kansas, number 16 Iowa State, and Baylor. We're talking big cash for a November multi-team event in Las Vegas, and each team gets $1 million for NIL. I think you have thoughts and feelings about this, having starred in an era before NIL.
I mean, it's just, John, I just don't know if this system is broken. These kids are making like generational wealth at like 20, 21, 22 years old. I mean,
well, Nick, why not? Why not? The coaches are making generational wealth. The television networks are making generational wealth.
You're right. You're right. And I mean, everyone's doing it. And I guess the players are entitled to it. I just, I had this talk with a couple of my teammates as we were living overseas. And I could not fathom what it would be like to have, even 5 figures in my bank account at 20 years old, but let alone 6 figures or even like 7 figures and be driving like some car. What did we used to drink? We used to drink like the lowest of low beer or whatever it was, you know what I mean? It used to be like Michelob Ultras or whatever it was. And it was like, now if you kind of had that kind of money, I just couldn't imagine the focus and you would almost just lose almost the drive, I guess. The goal was always to play in the NBA because you obviously wanted to make money and things like that. But it's like now you're showing up as a 21-year-old kid. But pat them on the back, amen for them. Great. I hope these kids understand and have an understanding of how to use the money, to make more money and things like that. Because I feel like even when I was 22, 23 years old and I was drafted by Dallas, I didn't have a clue what to do with the money. And I just don't know how long this is sustainable, John.
Nick, if you played in the NIL era, would you have stayed at Nevada for your entire career?
Don't put me on the spot.
Well, okay, but let's just say a hypothetical player like you. I mean, the answer is no, right?
I highly doubt it. I just can't imagine how you would. I totally understand from a perspective of where guys are out of Nevada, they probably love it, they had success, and then, yeah, someone comes and offers you $1.5 million or $2 million. I mean, how would you say no? And not to mention, it's not like you're going from Nevada to go play at Pepperdine. Like, you're going to North Carolina or you're going to Kansas. Like, you're going to these places that those are the places you probably dreamed about playing when you were a kid, or those were the shorts you were wearing in the driveway as you were warming up. So I hate to say it, I probably would have ended somewhere really big after being who I was, especially early in my career. But I also tell people all the time, I think it would have changed the trajectory of, like, maybe where I was at in life. I probably would have not tried to go overseas and play, because I think you make enough money to where now the G League becomes more of a viable option, and kind of staying stateside becomes more of a viable option. But yeah, you would hope that these kids can use this money because they're so young to maybe take some, I say risks, but it's like almost risks with some of their money to be able to, make more money with it.
Does this cut at the heart of what you feel college basketball is? Can college basketball survive this?
I just don't think so. I think it eventually gets to a place where you are so divided and you're going to start seeing just a huge divide where maybe the NCAA tournament starts to get boring. I think you kind of already see it in the college football playoff, to where there's just not really much parity right now, right? You just have the same teams going at it over and over because they have the most money. And I mean, it's not like the Major League Baseball where you're talking Dodgers versus Blue Jays where everything can kind of be relevant. They're all Major League Baseball players. I mean, you're talking about like how much ever budget Ohio State has versus a budget of like Boise State. It's apples and oranges at this point, John. And I just don't know how it's sustainable, and I don't think that's what college sports are. College sports where all of us showed up on campus and wanted to like grind for our university and make something basically out of nothing.
Nick, the cynic would say $22 million is the reported budget for Kentucky now, and Kentucky or UNLV or any, or many notable programs were certainly in the business of compensating players just off the books. So the cynic would say, look, it's just always been this way, and now it's in the daylight. But you think it's fundamentally different, right? Because now it's everybody doing it?
Yeah, I think it is fundamentally different. Like, let's not get it twisted. I'm sure when I was in college, I'm sure Kentucky was quote unquote cheating, or, obviously John Calipari maybe gets a bad rap, but I'm sure Calipari was doing it. I think Nick Saban was doing it. I think these guys were all doing it. And I think that's why Nick Saban's now sitting on College Game Day, because he probably didn't want to deal with everyone having the same advantage that he had. But it's fundamentally different because it's like everybody's doing it, and now it's like so much in the open. I know when I was in school, you talked about or you heard about what so-and-so might have been getting at KU or what he got under the table or whatever. But now, I mean, let's not look at this ESPN article. Now we can kind of like start to math it all together and see who's getting who or who's getting what and what program's not getting this. It kind of just becomes very much like a big math problem at this point, and I just think that the NCAA has an issue that may never get solved.
All right. We'll be right back on the Layup Line. We're going to talk about Japanese Thanksgiving. Maybe we'll chop it up about school, because Nick Fazekas and I did come to play class. That's next.
The following segment is sponsored by Nevada Department of Wildlife.
Back on the Layup Line with Nevada Hall of Famer Nick Fazekas, and I'm in the spirit, Nick. So I've got the Japanese phrase of the week, and in fact, it's Japanese Thanksgiving, Kinro Kansha no Hai, which was celebrated earlier in November. It's some kind of blend, according to our crack research staff and Wikipedia, kind of a blend of Thanksgiving and Labor Day, although there is a different Labor Day in Japan. But you informed me that there are an abundance of bank holidays in Japan.
There is an abundance. I felt like my kids never went to school. What's funny is like when I first started in Japan, all my guys on my team actually were employees of Toshiba. They weren't even actually like professional basketball players. These guys had to go to work on them. They had to go to work in the morning, and we would practice in the afternoon, and that's how it worked. And just to piggyback, there is a phrase called sabori, and sabori means like you're lazy, or you know how to take your time, or you kind of take days off. So we always used to kind of jokingly use that word, but yes, very much in Japan, there are a lot of days off. It actually would be a great place to live if you actually worked in corporate America, because you just get too many days off.
Shout out workers' rights. All right, we're in Thanksgiving territory now, and that means finals. How's it looking for you?
I am through one.
Okay.
Go, John. I think I got an 87%. I'm looking good in the other two, but like we said, it ramps up. Pages got to be longer. You need more words. You're spending more time in front of the computer. I don't know how you feel, but the ending does get a little bit more stressful.
It does get stressful because there's a volume of work that is due, and you know that like if you blow it, there's just no time to fix it. It's like pressure free throws, right?
You are done. Stick a fork in him if you screw up here at the end. I mean, these things are so weighted towards the end that the 150 points out of the 500 that you've already, accumulated, you're just like, holy cow, this is quite weighted at this point. So it requires a little bit more focus here at the end. And it's also like an oxymoron because you're at the end and you're like, oh, I'm like done, I'm tapped. But it's like, no, you got to ramp it back up with the focus.
All right, 10 seconds, Nick. Your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Mac and cheese, without a doubt. Just can't get enough of it.
All right, I'll go green bean casserole. Mac and cheese and green bean casserole. Thanksgiving, it's my favorite holiday. I want everybody to enjoy their Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Nick. And we're thankful for all of you watching. We're having a ball here on the Layup Line. Enjoy the holiday, and we'll talk to you guys next week. And Nevada men's basketball will be into finals, and then the conference season right around the corner. Peace.